And so what do you think the role of fantasy is in culture, and why do you think it's growing so much?
I don't know what it is in culture. I can only speak for myself.
Yeah.
And for me, it's inspiration. I mean, going totally out of the reality you're living and being way more powerful than you are. And so you can feel emotion that you don't feel in your reality. And we are emotional beings. So it gets addicted, when you can create a ball of fire to throw away. I mean, how do you compare that with real life?
Right.
So, maybe it can be related with some video games, but it's not the same. Books, you are imagining things, you are viewing things in your own brain and mind. So when it happens to create guitars, I want the guitars to be like the weapon of a of a fantasy creature. So that's why the shape, the colors, and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's a different reality in the reality. So it's inspiration and different emotions.
So you have used fantasy with a level of agency that I'm not sure is so common. Meaning you have taken this fantasy realm and made real things and made a living doing things with it. And your guitars are not total fantasy; they're inspired by fantasies.
Exactly,
and they're highly well-tuned, great performing musical instruments.
Yes.
So let's make that very, very clear.
Yeah.
I'm not. Your guitars are not comic versions of guitars. I think you're one of the best guitar makers in the world.
Thank you.
I think that your dedication to your craft and that pursuit of perfection that you have means that every time I see you, your guitars are somehow better, and I thought they were already pretty close to perfect the last time I saw them.
Thanks so much.
And so maybe that's that superhero part of it.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
But we have a lot of people who are saying within Western culture anyways that this living out the fantasies, whether through video games, reading, whatever it happens to be, is somehow harming people, where they live out one reality and come to the real world and they're depressed and honestly suicidal and such. We have a real problem currently in the Western world, especially with young men who are not, I don't know, they seem to have lost hope in many ways.
Okay.
And so you act out and you make something useful with it. Do you think there's something different about you that has you giving a practical life and able to make your living drawing on that inspiration, which is different than other people? And if you do, what do you think that might be? Or what's the key to that? What's the key to taking your inspiration and then honestly being useful with it in some way? Useful to society in a way where they can engage and you can become part of the commerce and economics so that you can feed yourself and such.
I think it's more like a puzzle. Everything is in a puzzle. So there is this fantasy side, or a cake. Imagine a cake with different slices. So fantasy is one slice of what I'm doing. The biggest part is the guitar playing thing, the obsession, the love and seduction I had with the guitar itself. So when I started creating guitars, I put firstly the guitar playing things into it, and then I added that the decoration was the fantasy part of it. It's not just one side. And then there is life experience that goes into that as well, and the desire of learning, curiosity with the guitar. I mean, I've made almost 300 guitars now. I still don't know what makes the guitar sound good or not. I mean, I can make good guitars, but even if I use the same patterns, it's not the same result. So I'm struggling, I'm waiting every single pieces. I'm trying to combine different glues, I still want to reach on higher level. So this huge hole I need to feed of curiosity about this object, this magical object. Back to fantasy, for me it's magical, is the main piece of the cake. And then there is the other part of it. So if somebody has a whole cake made of fantasy, I can see why they can lose contact with reality and get a bit lost. But for me it was a huge influences: classical, modern, guitars, fantasy, skating. Everything was in there to give me a safe spot to stand on without falling too down.
Thank you for watching and listening. You can find more episodes wherever you listen to your podcasts. And a special thanks to those who support us on Patreon. It's your support that enables us to do this work.